Alright, so let's go over what is going on in the shoulder, what I think's happening, things like that. So I showed you on the iPad. I just wanted to kind of give you a better overview, a little up close, that you can watch again later if you want. So, rotator cuff, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor. Then we get down here, and this is your subscap. That's actually on the front side. So that's the one that needs to be able to work like pretty much the whole time you're swimming. And in most swimmers with painful shoulder, this guy goes from about 85% firing rate the whole time down to like 30. So that's why I'm having you do lots of endurance on that one. Now, this Pec Minor, while we're here, you've already been working on opening up the chest, but where you can see that it attaches to the front of the shoulder blade, that whole tipping forward concept that I talk about and the upward rotation, things like that, you can see how if this muscle is yanking on it, it's going to rotate you forward, right? Now, if you're rotated forward, it is very hard to go fully overhead without pinching something in this area. I want to throw on your Teres Major. So that mini lat muscle that I was talking about, that is this one. So it does not actually connect inside your shoulder joint, if you can see. It goes just to your humerus, and it functions like a mini lat, where it's pulling that arm down to your side. It does fire when you're in the recovery phase of freestyle. When you're pulling that arm back, that will also fire a little bit. But this guy is that Serratus, the shark tooth looking one. It's not the one you see on everyone. You normally see the obliques a little lower down. If you see a real lean guy and they've got this kind of coming out of their armpit, that is Serratus. And it attaches to the front side, let me flip it a little, of your shoulder blade and keeps that bottom corner of your shoulder blade down. With Serratus weakness and you're reaching overhead, things like that, you'll see people where that bottom corner, it just can't overpower Pec Major and everything else pulling down also, because if we add on, there we go. We got your Pec Minor rolling. If we add on Pec Major, that obviously sits under it. If your lats are really restricted and they're also keeping everything downwardly rotated, it just really can't overpower it and it gets weak. So let's talk about a little bit of the nerves that I was addressing, where I really focused on you today, a little bit more than follow-up or the eval. So let's add on some nerves, and then we're going to take off a little bit of muscle actually. But back in here, all right, so this is a branch of your radial nerve. You don't have to remember any of these. This is another branch of your axillary nerve. The axillary one is the one that I think is a little bit more involved with you. And the middle delt, actually, I've told you, I think comes in and overfires. I'm struggling to make this guy straight. Middle trap tends to take over. So does middle delt, so does upper trap and shoulder pain. So when I got one needle in you out here, it was pretty darn twitchy. I want to take off one layer of muscle. That space that I was talking to you about, that I was really kind of all over today, is called your quadrangular space. So this branch that I was just showing you that comes like off of your axillary nerve, this is the axillary nerve itself. And it's going to have a couple other branches of things that come off. Like this muscle does, this nerve does the muscle firing of your delt. But for sake of things that I think are getting involved, when I'm out here on this little bit, you are twitchy, it is way tender. Let's see if it'll let me click on this. There we go. So this branch of your axillary nerve does the muscle innervation to this teres minor. Okay, so basically if this little nerve is getting pinched, you get this crampy, kind of locked down sensation down here. So I spent a lot of time on your teres minor, your teres major, and your lat actually today. But I do want you to pay attention too that this is your tricep that comes in there. So when you're getting some of that ache or soreness into your tricep, that could also be at play in this little window. Okay, now this levator scapula, let's just recap upward rotators and downward rotators, okay? So levator, I'm going to start drawing on this real quick. Okay, you can picture where if this muscle right here, that kind of helps shrug your shoulder, if it gets tight, it ends up, when I say downward rotation of your shoulder blade, I mean this entire complex starts to tip down, okay? The other ones that swimming uses a ton is these rhomboid guys. When your rhomboids overfire in swimming, because they are another one that kicks in and tries to pick up the slack for rotator cuff, we're seeing this pattern of downward rotation. Okay, the upper trap that I have taken off, same deal. It comes and it attaches along this angle. It upwardly rotates you to some degree, but it has a big attachment here and still is aiding in this downward rotation. Your lat doesn't necessarily make your shoulder blade rotate. However, it comes up and it attaches back here. So if it's limiting your actual arm's ability to go overhead, same concept, all of this. So if we clear this out and I show you the muscle groups I really want to be working on, you're already hitting these guys with your tennis ball, which is great. I needled into this one today to get a little higher up, but what I want to focus on are the ones that actually upwardly rotate you, meaning your supraspinatus, your infraspinatus. These guys help to hold your humerus down while everything else rotates up, so you need those. If I spin ya, actually let's just add on your lower trap while we're here. When I'm talking trap, you want, and I'm glad you're pretty mechanics brained, you want this part of your lower trap that attaches here, so that way when it's firing, it's pulling down on this part, but that would in turn upwardly rotate and it's going to help tip your shoulder blade backwards. We really want to work on strengthening these lower fibers of the trap. Okay. The other thing that I want to focus on for strengthening is that serratus anterior muscle. So if you can see just kind of where it attaches to this whole front side of the shoulder blade. When it fires, it does this like bringing it forward, rotating it. So when I'm telling you when you're going overhead to think about scooping your shoulder blade forward, it's that final little shoulder blade scooching it forward that I really want you to focus on endurance-wise here. That. Okay? So if you're thinking about that muscle, it's also going to help upwardly rotate it. So the whole goal is to just get the mechanics firing better. Otherwise, you get into this kind of pinchy deal back here, or these muscles when you go to pull your elbow back to come out of the water recovery-wise. If they're pinching on this bundle, it's usually just pain. Pain in this area, deep in the shoulder. The nerve that I wanted to show you that actually innervates, it's going to let me zoom in the right way. Okay. That's not the one that I want. Hold on. If I can get all of this guy. So you got quite a bit going on up here. Alright, so this is called your dorsal scapular. It does your levator and your rhomboids. So when I'm needling you, I'm trying to have an effect on that one also. And let me go ahead and take off one more. Alright. Your accessory nerve, it does your upper trap that I just showed you and your sternocleidomastoid, which is a muscle on the front of your neck. So that one, whenever I get really kind of right there on the corner or into your upper trap, that's what I'm going for. And then the last one I wanted to show you. Not that one. I want to get your suprascapular nerve. Hang with me. Sometimes it doesn't let me get right on it. Nope. Okay. I'll have to search for it a little differently. Here we go. Alright. When it won't let you search for it, we'll just come to it this way. Alright. So, suprascapular is the purple one in here. It's just not going to let me move around. Well, it does motor to your rotator cuff, most importantly, and it can do sensation to your actual ball and socket joint and to your AC joint. So that's why I wanted to point that one out. But oh, now it's going to let me move. So yeah, so it does sensation way into here. Let's see if I can just actually show it to you. Alright, we take everything else off. It comes down and it sits in this notch right here. There's a ligament that goes over that. Sometimes you'll hear about people having a suprascapular nerve release. It's because when that thing gets pinched, when you're too forward tipped, the ligament pinches on that and it makes this rotator cuff really struggle to fire because that is the motor component of it. So when you put some other stuff on, you can kind of see where it stems from the neck, comes down, and it does shoulder. So yet again, the other reason I like to maul the neck.